fellow woodworkers and makers of great things. Welcome to my shop. You know, a few weeks ago I put out a shop organization video, and one of the things covered in that video was a driver and bit caddy that I have over next to my drill press and I use every day. It's an important part of the shop. And while I was working on it with you guys on the video, I was thinking through some changes I'd probably like to make with that. Well, I found a solution, and I think I'm going to do that for you now. So, you know, some of you threw in some comments last time and some ideas. A few of you asked how this thing was made and if I had a video on it, and I didn't. But because of what I'm going to do today, I'm going to have to rebuild a portion of the project. So if you're interested in seeing how this thing was made and the woodworking that goes behind it, stay tuned, stay with me, and we'll show you some of that. So why don't we get over to the bench, get over there with me, we'll work through this thing, and we'll see what we can get done. So last time we were sitting here, you know, looking at this little bit and driver caddy that I made, I was talking about getting rid of these Forstner bits. I just don't use them that much, and they're using up, you know, a good space, and I think I could probably do something else. And my thought at the time was, what if I found some hex drivers, some ball drivers to put in there, because I do go for them, you know, quite often. I went out and looked, and I found something interesting. I found this little kit from Latuc, I guess that is. Latuc. We can pronounce it how we want to pronounce it. And it comes with this very colorful driver, but it comes with a set of, these are SAE and these are metric ball drivers. Very nice. Very nice if I can get them open. Right. And it's just an index of different size ball drivers. And it runs from 5/64 to 5/16. And then you got the metrics. The metric stand isn't marked, but the bits themselves are marked from 1.5 to 10 millimeter bits. And so here's what I'm thinking. What if I take this this new set of ball drivers, right, and expand the base or the tray of this setup such that these guys can live here. Probably put the smaller ones out because I use them more. Put this guy here and here, right? And set it up like that. Now obviously I don't have the room left for the rest of my stuff, because I need about an inch or so over here for these indexes. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to rebuild this tray. I'm going to rebuild this tray to accommodate this, right, as well as the rest of my items that have to go in there, and see if we can't get that to work. But what I want to do is somehow fashion a driver to go in there. And what I mean by that is, where is it over here? So here's a Wera. If I had a driver that somehow went in here, that looks pretty easy to do actually, then I would have a driver for all of these. Right? I can chuck my square drives in them, I can chuck my Phillips in them, I can chuck my Torx in them. I'm all good to go with dedicating a driver. This one I think is a little too long. Whoever makes a stubbier one, I think I already ordered that, and I'm going to incorporate that over here into this base. And I'm going to do a couple other things. First of all, these driver bits, they're always very snug in those holes. So while I had this out the other day, and before I put it back, I said, why don't I just enlarge those holes? I enlarged them a 1/64 of an inch. They're all over the place here now, so we can't have that. I don't like that. And then the last thing I'm going to do with this kit is we're going to get rid of these Forstners after all. And I'm going to put something in there that I use much more often. These are different pilots and punches. These are what are called Vic bits,
This is a similar device for centering a screw in a hole. This is another similar device for centering a screw in a hole. This is a standard Starrett punch, small punch that you use all the time. And this is an indexing drill bit, and it works with a template that I have for shelf pins inside a case or a cabinet where you put adjustable shelf pins. There's a template that spaces out those rows and the space between the pins, and then this guy has an index on it, and then when you press it drills the exact depth and diameter of the hole you need for the shelf pins. So I think these punches, if you will, are much more practical to have at hand and easy reach than this. Vic's bit, by the way, is just a drill bit contained in a kind of a chamfer or a bevel, and the idea is that you can center that into the hole. I should get you some. Well, here, this is a bad example, but if this was a hinge plate and I wanted to get centered right in it, I would put this, the bigger one, I put this right in the center of it, and then my drill chuck is attached here, and as I press down I drill the pilot hole for the screw right in the center of the hole. This is a similar tool, alright, has a similar ending, except you hit it with a hammer to make a mark. This is a similar tool. I guess this is more for metal working, but you center this in a hole, and then when you press it you get a mark to start a hole. And that's what we got here. But these are things I grab for a lot when I'm mounting hardware or starting holes. So I think we're going to replace these with these. And the first thing we got to do is remember how many years ago Frank made this tray. It looks like just some cherry stock that I chamfered. I made oversized, and then I put what looks like a maple lining inside, and I know why I did that, because I wanted it to be exact. So I mitered this oversize right to the width and the length, and then I said, well, how much do I have to fill in, because I can thickness this to exactly what I need. So I'll do that again. Not sure how I put this bottom. Oh boy, I rabbited the bottom. Okay, so the bottom is rabbited into this, so I guess I'll have to do that, and we'll get on it. All right, guys, I took a few minutes to just get my dimensions lined up here and make sure I know what I'm doing before I start cutting anything. I took the inside. This is the tray. Okay, so this is going to replace this tray with our extra width we'll need. To make that outer cherry frame, I drew up the dimensions here. It's going to be 3/8 inches wide. It's going to be 3/4 inches tall. We're going to have a random chamfer across the top, leaving about a 1/8 flat. And I got to cut a rabbet on the bottom, a 1/4 inch deep to accept some plywood for the bottom, and about 3/16 into it to give me just a little place for some pin nails while the glue's drying. All right, so next step is let's get some cherry. I thought it made sense to cut the rabbets on both sides of the stock before I ripped it off. This way I wouldn't be trying to cut rabbets into what is very thin stock. So I simply made 2 passes and put a rabbet on each edge of this board on the router table. With a rabbet on each edge, I was then able to go to the table saw and rip 2 pieces of frame stock, one off of each edge. I cut a 45-degree miter on one end of this piece, and then using a stop block after I measured for it, I'm going to cut the other half of this miter. And by having the stop block, I'll be able to repeat that on the long end with the opposing piece. Take my next piece. Again, miter's already cut on one end. Okay, now I've got 2 pieces exactly the same size for the long ends of the board with the miters underneath. So we'll get ready now, measure and cut for the short pieces. Okay, I'm in the process of taping these pieces together before we glue them. Using a straight edge to keep everything registered nicely. Pressing the plate together. Now we got short, long, short. I got one more long one here to glue up. All right, we should have a box now if we bring these all together. So we'll get some glue and do that. I'll be fairly generous on the glue because it's not quite end grain, not quite long grain. It's a miter joint. We're going to pin this just so we can play with it in an hour or so. But the end result will be that the miter joints will be glued and the bottom will hold this thing together as well. So remember, we're going to have a bottom glued and nailed to this box, and that will give us a lot of additional strength. Okay. More tape. All right, we want to give this box the best chance possible to stay square, so I'll use these corner blocks that I have and a couple of small clamps. It was square when I put the clamp in there, but just to be sure. And I think I'm going to tack this too. Give it a couple of pin nails on each side. Again, just so that we can work with it before the glue fully cures. I want to get more of this done today. Trying to stay below that rabbit. Okay, we're glued, we're pinned, we're clamped, we're taped. Let's let that sit for about an hour, and then I'm going to, well, I'm going to go something to eat, but after that, I'm going to come out here and measure and cut for that bottom. Again, once we get that bottom glued and nailed, that's really going to reinforce the miters. These miters in general are a weak joint. They usually need something to help them along, and in this case, it will be that bottom piece of plywood that will hold everything together for us. All right, let's let that dry and we'll get back at it. All right, a little over an hour has gone by, and the glue's certainly dry enough to work with. So I took the tape off and cut a bottom. So what we're going to do is fit a bottom right there and glue it, nail it in. Let's get that going. Okay, we got the glue in. Let's press that bottom on. And let's put some pins in there. What I want to do is get the corners good. And the reason for that, again, is that's reinforcing the miters. Right, you're kind of doing a little bit of a gusset effect there. let's get some stuff in here and see how we did. And then we had our new additions over here someplace. And we should be wide by about 3/8 there. And we are wide by 3/8 there. The camera can see that. I'm going to give you an idea what's going on here is we've got that extra width there because remember we're going to put this liner in. The last one had this liner, this maple liner going around, and that's exactly what we want to have here. And now it gives me the ability to size this much more closely than I could have sized it just by building the frame. But that's for tomorrow, because I got started late today, so I'm calling it a night. We'll get back in here. Maybe we'll find some special wood. Let's see what I got in my old exotic and inlay stock. Maybe I got something neat to put in there. We'll go with maple if we have to, but let's see. I went digging through some old stock that I had, some nice trim that came from beading or bandings or things that I made, for detail work. And I thought maybe I would find something in there that was a little special for that surround. But in the end, I said, let's go something real special. What I have here is a piece of holly. That's going to be the whitest of the gang. So we could always just make a couple of rips right here and get our 3/16 pieces. Let's go for it. Let's do the holly. Well, here you go. I took this holly and I ripped off a couple of strips at about 3/8, and then cut them to width this dimension, and took them down on a planer, just a touch or two, because my goal is that 2 of these should fit this crack. A little room. So I just ran them through the planer a couple of times until this went in there very easily with a little wiggle room. We don't want it to be tight in there, but we don't want it to bounce around in there. So if I get one on each side, we're going to be in good shape. So I think though, before I cut these to fit, this original one had a chamfer all the way around it. So why don't we take this apart, and I'll get to chamfering the corners on this one so we can fit it for the holly surround. And I'll get right back to you with that. Alright, that looks pretty good all the way around. I got a 45 on one end of this piece, so I'm going to put it in here and just measure off my work. I'm going to find the long end of the next miter, which is right here, and we want that to go in this direction. So we want to get this here in this mitered bench hook. And give it a 45. And then see how it fits. A little snug, perfect. Okay, and there's our dry fit surround. Dry fitted surround, and if we got this right, we should get a this and a this, and have room for these two. Oh, such that we can pull them out relatively easy, but that they're firm enough to stand up. So good sizing. Happy with that. I glued up the holly the same exact way I glued up the cherry, with tape and glue. And while that holly was drying, I took and gave the cherry a couple of coats of shellac from that spray can you can see there. And that's because the shellac looks really good on cherry. Shellac not so good on holly because it's going to create an amber tone and take away that whiteness. So after the holly dried, I set it in the cherry and I gave the whole thing a couple of coats of this clear polyurethane water-based finish. This way the white will stay nice and bright and everything will be well protected. Okay, so the finish is dried. And let's see if we can't get this thing back together. I think the specialty bit went there. And then I had my Vicks bits, the largest one, then the medium, and the smaller one. And then that was followed by this other specialty bit, if I remember, and this center punch, and my nail set, and my regular starrett punch. Okay, so that's pretty good. Did I go like that, or did this go like this? Well, that went like that, and I thought that fit better. Oh, I see. I think there's just some finish in there. I have to clean up that hole from the finish. By the way, I drilled these out to 7 1/4 and it worked pretty good. So let's see how our setup looks now. We're going to have our specialty punches here, followed by our drill bits, followed by our pilot bits. We've got this guy here. Torx here. We got our longer Torx here. We're going to push this all over, and we're going to put our ball drivers here and here, retrievable. So that's our new setup for the most part, but there's still one thing we have to do. I've got a gap back here, which is a good thing, right? Because I want to keep a screwdriver handy. And I think the best way to do that is to, get a block in here with a dowel protruding, and then that dowel will fit the driver and it'll just slip on. And a 1/4 inch dowel is just a little too big, so I'm gonna turn that down, not at the lathe. I'll just chuck it into the drill press, and we'll see if we can't get that to a size where this slides on and off of it easy. So let's cut this down to a more manageable size. Just chuck it in the drill press. Let's see, I think it's probably going to go no taller than about here. Alright, let's go over to the drill press and size that to fit the driver. Okay, I've got my dowel chucked in the drill press. I'm going to take a file and just see if we can't get that I think we got it, and it bottoms out very easily. I think that's our plan. All right, let's go see how we're gonna now make this work in the driver and bit caddy. All right, let me share what I'm thinking here. So I've got this gap here. Where our driver is going to go, and that's about an inch in this direction. It's about 3/4 in this direction. It's actually a little more than an inch here, about 1 1/16, but I don't want to get these things too jammed in where I can't wiggle them out. So here's my 1-inch strip, and I want to take that out to 3/4, and then what I'll do is I'll drill a hole in it, and then this dowel, I don't know how long this needs to be yet, but this dowel will come here and serve as a rest for the screwdriver. But I think I'm probably better off drilling a hole for the dowel in the base before I cut the base, otherwise I'm going to have to try to hold a little piece of wood. So let's mark this at 3/4. Get that to 3/4. I think I want the dowel to favor, I don't think I want this, I think I want it to favor this wall a little bit so that it's got good clearance from this this bit here. So let's say that we want our hole not in the center but about over here. All right, let me go put a 1/4 inch hole right in here. I'm going to do it on a drill press so it stays nice and straight, and I'll be right back. Alright, I went to the drill press and drilled a hole, a 1/4 inch hole in this while it was long, and then I cut it off at 3/4 so it fits in our space. So we'll put our dowel, one end, that's a nice tight fit, one end in there, and that should go right in here. And it does. And that should hold our bit driver, just like that. Is that a little too long? I think that's a little too tall. So I think we could come down. We don't want this handle to hit here. We got plenty of give. Let's come down 3/4 of an inch and see how we look. Get that back together. Put that where it belongs. I think that's about right. I think that's about right. All right, let's do what we clearly have to do here. We have to glue this to the bottom of that tray because I don't think it's strong enough like that. Or should I screw it from the bottom? Let's screw it from the bottom. This way if I have a change of heart, change of plans, want to reorganize this one day, that'll come right out, it won't be glued in. Alright, one more change of plan. I'm not going to screw it, I'm not going to glue it, I'm going to double-sided tape it. I was worried that if I tried to get screws into this short grain here, it's just going to split wide open. So I found that I had in my storage this Scotch Mount Extreme 30-pound double-sided mounting tape, indoor outdoor, so it's got to be pretty strong. So let's see if we can get that to hold us in place. And if it doesn't, we'll just peel it off and go to plan B or C or D. I probably could just glue it, but. Alright, so it's mounted off center so the shorter guy goes there. Nice and tight. And press it down. That's an extreme mount right there. Yeah, that's real strong. All right, let's put our toys back in. Pièce de resistance, if I can find it. There we have it. All right, I like the way that came out. And we've got a nice little driver here that can take any of these bits if we want to put them in by hand. This is a good size if we want to use a longer bit. But if we're using a shorter bit, this will also extend and give you a little more room. It's a pretty neat tool. I like these Vera tools. So there you have it. The driver and bit Caddy, ready for a whole bunch more years in its new and improved form until I get another idea in a year or two and decide to change it.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I know I had a lot of fun making it, and you know, I like the whole figuring it out and designing it and problem solving aspects of doing any job, but this one was particularly enjoyable for me because, like I said, I've had this thing for many years and I use it a ton, and to be able to upgrade it and tweak it a little bit was a joy. So thanks for watching, thanks for coming back. If you like this video, please do me a favor, give me a thumbs up. If you're a subscriber already, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. If you're not, think about subscribing. I'd appreciate it and it would help me. Till next time, everybody. See you in the shop.